back to the Filthy Report. My name is Jason Filthy Jones, bringing you the dirtiest information with the cleanest style. What's going on, everybody? Hopefully your weekend went great. Hopefully you guys got to catch up on all the fights. If not, I'm here for that recap, and I'm here to give you that breakdown. So let's get to some fight talk. Now, guys, on this fight card, it seemed to be that the only thing you could really talk about is COVID. COVID has hit the UFC ridiculously, and we have been losing fights left and right, which cut this card a little bit short. They only had 8 fights on it, but they were some decent fights. Can't be mad about it. Hopefully you guys got to catch it, but like always, let's get to it. So first off, I'm going to be happy to talk about is Louis Smolka. Louis Smolka coming in against Jose Quinones. Now, this fight was ridiculously good. It came off really that Louis is back to his fighting style, just getting right back to the groove. Moving up to the 135 division. This is his second fight at the 135 division. After getting back to the UFC, he was wrecking it through the flyweight division, and then he just got into a hiccup and had problems, had to leave the UFC. Came back after 2 fights, and now he's looking like he's a demon on wheels and ready to go. Jose came out and started pressuring Louis Smolka, putting him on his back foot, just continuously going after him, aggressive, throwing all the power shots that he could, which to me seemed like, I understand that it is a bantamweight fight, but it seemed like he was burning out his energy, and then just kept pushing on to Smolka, but Smolka was able to slip the punches, get his kicks in there, and was able to use his jiu-jitsu not as offensive but more as defensive. Anytime that Jose Quinones took down Louis Smolka, you could see Louis Smolka would try to either use a guillotine or try to use switches on him to just get out of it and get him back to his feet, and which played dividends in basically coming into the second round. Quinones was still pushing the pace, trying to be aggressive, trying to throw as many punches as he could at him, trying to use his footwork to move around, and ended up clinching with him, which ended up being his downfall. Right when he clinched with Smolka, Smolka was able to reverse the underhooks that Quinones had on him and was able to hip toss him and just using a judo throw really quickly to get him to the floor. After that, he was able to transfer from basically, I would say, side control to mount really quickly and just landed some vicious ground and pound to get Quinones out of there in the second round. How do I see with Smolka? I'm just saying it looks like Smolka's dialed in. He's focused. He knows what he's doing. He's not killing himself on a weight cut anymore. I feel like he's going to tear through the bantamweight division pretty easily. Can't wait to see what they're going to toss at him next. Don't think he's still ready to crack into the top 10. I would like to see him floating around there, right there at 12, 13, 14, see who we can get there and see how it's going to go. Now, I wouldn't be right if I didn't talk about Jordan Levitt and Matt Weinman. All right, there's not much to say about this fight, but that was a vicious knockout, a vicious slam, and it just seems like Levitt is ready to play with the big boys in the UFC, and let's see how he's going to do. Lightweight is a very stacked division. I think they need to ease him in. He does have really good striking. He is a good all-around fighter. Didn't really get to see that much on his debut because it was over in 22 seconds. With Matt, I just think it might be time for him to hang it up. He had came back after 5 years and was trying to see if he could get back into the win column and start off his career a little bit more again. And he just got caught. Nothing wrong about that. Nothing sad about that. I just don't think him coming back at 37 in the lightweight division and having to climb through those rankings is going to be anything decent for him. If he wants to finish up his contract, then that's cool. But we'll see how it goes. Nothing else to really say about that fight. But it was a vicious KO, and to watch out for Levitt. Let's move on to Ovince St. Preux and Jamal Hill. if you guys remember in the breakdown, I thought OSP was going to be able to take out Jamal Hill, but seeing that the first thing was OS St. Peru coming in overweight, not cutting the weight fully to get down to 205, being his 40th fight, I have to say it just seemed like OSP wasn't there anymore. He wasn't using his kicks, was doing a tit for tat kind of striking where he was throwing one punch here and there and not putting together combinations to even try to get Hill out of there. And it just seemed like he had a very lackluster style. Like he really wasn't even wanting to be in the cage. Now with that, for OSP, it's really dangerous because, I mean, if you're not coming in to try to be a champion, or if you're not coming in to really be an aggressive fighter, you're just sitting there and you're pretty much just wasting your time. Hill came in and made sure that he was coming in and ready to just be as aggressive as he can be and pushing the pace. And the other thing is, Hill has a really decent background. He's undefeated. His first martial art was jiu-jitsu. His striking was looking great. It looked like he was mixing his wrestling really good. I feel like he's going to be something to really put forth in the light heavyweight division moving forward. And it's always good to see some new blood in the light heavyweight division. Let's see what he can do. Let's see who they toss at him next. I do feel like he's going to be ranked there. I think OSP was ranked like number 15. I wouldn't be surprised if they put him like right outside of the top 10. I'm talking maybe 11 or 12. But we'll see. I think Hill's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And can't wait to see him on his next fight. All right, guys. Now, this main event was a rock'em sock'em robots. It was just one of the best main events of the year. Really high level, really high pace. It was Jack Hermansson versus Marvin Vettori, and I know I said I thought Hermansson was going to get Vettori out of there very quickly, but it just seemed like Hermansson didn't really have a plan in place to how to get Vettori out of there. Vettori was throwing a lot of combinations, using a lot of footwork, was at a very fast pace. Completely nonstop, always pressuring Hermansson, trying to get him on the back foot, and literally was just wrecking him from round to round until he got into the third round. And you could say that maybe Vettori backed off on the third round, or you could say that Vettori might have been gassed a little bit and was trying to conserve some energy to bring it out in the next round. But it just put a different pace and a different change when Hermansson came out in the third round, because he was going for broke. He didn't care if he was going to get knocked out. He didn't care if they were going to just call the fight right then and there. He didn't care about cuts. He didn't care about anything. He just wanted to push forward, show that he had really true heart and was a real true warrior, and coming and bringing the fight that as much as he can. Now, my only problem with Hermansson would be that he was trying to bang with a really good striker and didn't use any of his ground game. He wasn't really pushing out his ground game until about the fifth round, and that was because it was basically like his Hail Mary, where I thought that he probably could have had more of a chance of getting Vettori to the ground in the first round if he was able to come in on Vettori. And with that being said, there was a point where in the third round, he was using his kicks to kind of offset Vettori and try to get back into the fight. But later on, we find out after the fight that Hermansson fought through a broken orbital. He also fought through a broken foot. And I think he broke his foot, I want to say, in the third round. So it just shows you he's a tough, gritty fighter. I hope he doesn't fall too far. It sucks. But you do have a new standout, which is going to be Marvin Vettori. He's ready to go. I wouldn't mind seeing him go up against Paulo Costa. I think that would be a really good match for him. I don't know if the UFC is going to go that route with him. If not Costa, there's Bobby Knuckles. There's, you can even ease his way in, giving him like Derek Branch. There's a few names there, because Israel isn't looking like he's going to be fighting and defending the middleweight title. even in the beginning of the year, it looks like he's really going to be moving up to light heavyweight. So who knows if Vettori can try to sit out and hope that he's going to get a title shot. But I can guarantee you guys, he's not going to get a title shot off of that fight, even though how unbelievably good that fight was. But we do have a new standout. So let's see how he goes, and let's see who they match him up with next. Sucks for Hermansson. I'm sure he'll bounce back, maybe 2 to 3 fights, and he'll be ready to go again. Hopefully he'll still have that kind of drive. All right, guys, let's get to this UFC 256 breakdown. And now, guys, I really have to tell you something. This is a card not to miss. This card is stacked. I'm hoping it stays like this with all the fallouts with COVID right now. I'm praying to God that this fight card stays together. And I'm only going to be going over a couple of fights, but I'm talking from top to bottom. This card is stacked. It's not, you want to start at the early prelims and just start from there and keep going, because it's going to be a movement through a lot of the divisions. There's going to be some really, really phenomenal fighters that bring the fight always. And I'm only going to be going over 4 of these fights right now. So let's get it started with, I wouldn't be right if I wasn't talking about my boy Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza. Now, this fight is a really good matchup. A lot of people like to count Jacare Souza out because he's a little bit older. They think he's probably slowing down. I haven't really seen him slow down, but his striking's improving. It seems like he has a really nasty streak on him, and he's ready to go. He tried to do the 205 thing, didn't work out too well for him, came back down to 185, and he's ready to play ball, and he's going to be going up against Kevin Holland. How do I see this fight playing out? I know Kevin Holland has some really good striking. He's no slouch on the ground with jiu-jitsu, but there's nobody else that you would not want to play with other than maybe Damian Maia and Ryan Hall on the floor like Jacare Souza. Jacare Souza is a badass when it comes down to the ground game. He has a phenomenal jiu-jitsu game, but it seems like he's sort of falling in love with his striking. So let's see how he comes out. If I think that there's going to be a knockout, I wouldn't be amazed if it was Kevin Holland putting out Jacare Souza. I think Jacare is going to come out trying to go guns blazing and get Kevin out of there as quickly as he can. And I think that a lot of people, not saying like the public opinion, but I'm saying like a lot of fighters' opinion, that they think Kevin Holland's actually jumping a little bit too far and taking on a little bit too much. To me, I feel like this is a good matchup for him. It will show us if he's ready to get into that top 10, and from there it's off to the races. Now, I will say this. If he's able to beat Jacare Souza, how do you not have the match of Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland? Now, that would be a banger all day. All day. I would love to see that fight. All right, and moving on from there, we're going into Hanate Morgano versus Rafael Vassala. Now, this fight is a really good fight, especially being in the lightweight division. Morgano has been wrecking the 145 division. Then he ran into Brian Ortega, and it just seemed like he made an adjustment in thinking that the weight cut was a little bit too much, and that's why he wasn't able to finish the fights that he's normally been able to finish, or strangle anybody that he's able to when he can. Now, with this fight, I see it working out for Morgano. Rafael doesn't seem like he's going to have the pressure or the striking ability to take out Morgano. And I think with both of them being such high-level jiu-jitsu players that it kind of is a stalemate when it comes to jiu-jitsu for them. We will have to see. But I will be picking Morgano in this, and I think Morgano is going to be coming out super aggressive. He's probably tired of getting nothing but decisions and getting a split decision. So let's see how it goes, but I'm going with Morgano in that fight. All right, guys. Now, this is a co-main event not to miss. And the reason being is because of the names that are in this fight, and they are phenomenal fighters. It's going to be Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira. Now, there's a lot of questions to be asked about this fight. Is Tony going to be able to come back after his devastating loss to Justin Gaethje? He took a lot of damage in that fight. He was beat down and broken in that fight. But Does he still have the fighter spirit? Is he still going to have the aggression? Is he still going to be able to push the pace? Is he still going to just keep coming forward and nonstop? And is his jiu-jitsu going to be up to par to stand up against Charles Oliveira? Now, to give you guys the other side for Charles Oliveira is the #1 submission artist in the UFC right now. He has the most submissions in the UFC. He's also gotten really good with his hands. He's also improved because of coming into the 155 division instead of being in the 145 division where he was killing himself just to make the weight. With that, he has a lot more energy, has a lot more cardio. His transitions are unbelievable. He is no slouch on the floor. You do not want to go on the floor with him. But that being said, so is Tony. Tony has some really nasty squeezes that most people do not get out of. If he locks you up in a Darce or an Anaconda, you will either be put out or you will be tapping as quickly as you can. Now, I like how this fight is playing out because a lot of people are saying that everything is on Tony Ferguson right now. And the reason being that is because of the questions that I said that are being asked about him. Is he going to be able to come back and bring that kind of pace and bring that kind of aggression? We're not sure, but I don't ever count out Tony. Tony is one of my favorites. I'm a little bit biased in this because I have tons of people that are trained with Tony. I've been able to meet with him. He's a phenomenal guy, and he has some damn nasty, vicious elbows. Now, with Charles Oliveira, it seems like he's fell in love with his hands, and he likes to push the pace like that. And most people will never take him down because they don't want to mess with his jiu-jitsu. I find it weird that people think that Tony won't go on the floor with them when I really do believe that Tony probably will shoot on him just to see if he's going to be able to fight off his back the way he is to fighting in top position. Now, of course, like I said before, I'm biased on this fight. I'm always going to pick Tony, but don't ever count out Charles Oliveira. He can pull off some nasty stuff. Let's see how it goes, but I'm going to say I got to go with Tony, and I think if anything, if it's a quick knockout, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Tony. If it's a quick submission, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Charles Oliveira. So let's see how it goes. I can't wait for the fight. It's so damn good. Anyways, let's get to the main event, guys. This main event is phenomenal. It's kind of a shocker to see how this main event got set up and how it's laid out. If you guys don't understand, the main event is going to be Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. And the reason that this is such a crazy fight is these guys fought 3 weeks ago on the same card and dispatched both of their opponents in basically the first round. Now, Moreno, not discrediting him, he got a TKO win, but also his opponent ended up popping his shoulder out of socket. But that also was caused from Moreno taking him down and being able to slam him to the floor. Now, Deiveson Figueiredo was able to get Alex Perez out of there super quickly with a submission in the first round. Now, how does this matchup match? Basically, with Brandon Moreno, it's hard to say. He has really good footwork. He has pretty decent hands. He doesn't have that knockout power. He's more of a volume puncher and able to get you out in a TKO, or he's able to submit you. Now, the reason that this is such a crazy fight is Deiveson Figueiredo carries over some power that is phenomenal. He hits like a Mack truck, and if he touches you on the chin, you're either going out or you're going to be rocked, and you're not going to know where the hell you are. Now, the way I see this fight playing out is if Moreno comes in aggressive against Deiveson Figueiredo, I can see him getting caught by Figueiredo, and Figueiredo put him out in the quickness. Now, the other part of this is this. They're both good at jiu-jitsu, and I can't really say who's better on the ground game. If anything, I would probably be leaning towards Figueiredo just because it seems like he has a few more submissions that he's able to lock in super tight and super quickly. It's hard for me to pick Moreno, even though I know he's a really good fighter. It's hard for me to pick him just because I know what kind of power that Deiveson Figueiredo carries over. So I'm going to have to go with Deiveson Figueiredo. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets him out of there in the first round. Other than that, hey guys, let's get to some news. All right, first off, I have to come with you guys and talk to you guys about the biggest news that everybody's talking about is the release of Yoel Romero. Now, as you guys have heard, Dana White's been talking about that. He in the ending of the year, they're planning on releasing at least anywhere from 50 to 60 fighters, and we're going to be shocked about some of the names. Now, I do understand the reason why they're getting rid of Yoel Romero. It's his age. He's already lost to the champ. He's pretty much beat everybody in the division, and he's just not able to get back to that title shot as easily as everybody else would be able to. Now, the sucky part about this is hearing that they're giving him his release, but already the PFL and Bellator have came out and said they're not even interested in Yoel Romero. I also think this is a ploy that the UFC is using right now, because if you guys go and look at Bellator is taking a whole drastic change to how they're doing their fight matrix and basically signing their fighters. They're not signing the UFC rejects anymore. They're not signing the old school guys that used to bring name value all the time. They're building their company and putting their company on the backs of the younger division and the younger fighters that are in the game right now that they have just recently signed. And I'm talking like AJ McKee, MVP. These are people that they're putting forth the effort to build on, to give them the longevity where they'll end up like Michael Chandler, Eddie Alvarez, people like that were able to hold on to those belts for a long time and actually giving an advantage of being that actual huge competitor against the UFC. So with that being said, I don't know if you guys have also heard that they also just recently cut Rachel Ostovich, which with her being a little bit younger, I wouldn't be surprised if she's able to get back in the UFC. But with me, I would think that she's going to end up trying to go to Bellator, because Bellator actually puts on fights in Hawaii, and that's her home state. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up signing with Bellator. Now, before I finish off with this part about the news, I would have to say this. With Dana White saying that he's going to be letting go of 50 to 60 fighters, I hear a lot of people saying, like, when have they ever changed the narrative of owning like 85 to 90% of the best MMA fighters in the world, which is true. But if you look at how they're cleaning out the division, there's a few names that are on the list that I have to state that I think should be a little bit worried. And people being like Uriah Hall, Tyrone Woodley, Chris Weidman. If you've seen them stick around in the division for a very long time, and they're either hitting you with one win here, one loss here, one win here, one loss here, I wouldn't be surprised. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear coming out this week that OSP is no longer with the UFC anymore. Though they hate when you don't cut weight, and they hate when you just look lackluster in the fight the whole time. So those are just a few names throwing out there, but I wouldn't be amazed if we hear a lot of people that we really like that's really going to piss us off that they're getting cut from the UFC. Other than that, guys, let's move on. Let's talk about a couple of fight announcements and a couple of fight move-arounds that are going on. First off, Tisha Torres for UFC 256 will no longer be fighting Angela Hill. Angela Hill has concocted COVID, so she'll be out of this fight, and she'll be now taking on Sam Hughes, who is a standout from the LFA promotion. Let's see how she does against Tisha. Hoping that Tisha's going to get this win and maybe be able to move back into the top rank of the top 10s. Another one that has fouled out is, of course, Michelle Waterson. She's out of her fight with Amanda Ribas, and no real explanation of what's going on, if it was an injury or if it's a COVID issue or family issue. Not sure. Just sending my thoughts and prayers out with Michelle Waterson. Hopefully the Karate Hottie will get back in at the beginning of this year. Was really looking forward to that fight. Other thing is going on. If you guys haven't heard of the PFL, you guys should check it out. It's usually on ESPN Plus. They also have, I think they're starting a deal with CBS Sports, if I'm not right, or maybe Bellator starting with CBS Sports. But check out the PFL. There's a girl there called Kayla Harrison. She's the 155 women's champion, which is also a gift and a curse because there's not that many large-sized women that fight at the 155 division. It's kind of even hard just to build a featherweight division. But with that being said, Kayla Harrison has dropped down to the featherweight division, which is the 145 division, and she's branched out and still with the PFL, still a champion for the PFL, but they're allowing her to fight at other organizations. She just went and fought at Invicta FC and got a win there, and now she'll be fighting at Titan FC 19, taking on Cotton, and I think this is a really good matchup for her. It also pushes the pace, and it also gives her a little bit more clout to get her name out there, because I know people are going to start clamming at the bit to hear her go up against Cyborg or to go up against Amanda Nunes. But we'll see how that goes. Both are two different organizations. Let's see if they can play ball, or if the PFL will even play ball with either of these organizations. Can't wait. Keep your eyes on Kayla Harrison. She is a phenomenal fighter. And now, the other news I need to talk about is nothing to do with MMA, but it is to do with combat sports. And I'm pretty sure you guys have already heard, and I know you guys have been hearing it around the water cooler or just hearing people talk about it on Facebook. Floyd Mayweather is coming back, and he's going to be boxing not Jake Paul, but Logan Paul. Now, here's my thing. You will hear people scream from the rooftop, this is not a boxing match, this is not that, this is not that. But how do you not call it a boxing match when Logan Paul and Jake Paul have been bringing eyes to the sport ridiculously in their last couple of fights? Now, with all that being said, there's one thing I have to say about this. I don't think this is a good idea for Logan Paul. The reason of this is, at this point, you are now boxing a true boxer. It's not a YouTuber. It's not you boxing a basketball star like your brother. It's a real, straight, undefeated boxer who is one of the greatest boxers of all time. I don't think you have the skills to do that. Also, if Jake Paul wants to call out Dylan Dennis, go ahead and do that. But I would tell the Paul brothers to stay away from McGregor or stay away from anybody like Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, or anybody. Because understand this. If you do fight Dylan Dennis and you beat Dylan Dennis, and this has been said on a ton of different other podcasts, at that point, you're crossing into the real MMA world. And when you start calling out MMA fighters, it's a totally different thing to fight MMA and fight boxing. And it's a totally different thing if you think you're just going to walk in and be able to fight real combat fighters. I think these are really bad decisions for the brothers. I do like it. And, of course, I'm a degenerate because I'm going to watch it anyways to see what happens and see how it goes. But can't wait to see that happening. And with that, guys, that is all I have for you guys this week. Not that much going on. Please make sure you catch UFC 256 this Saturday. It's going to be going down. These are phenomenal fights. Can't wait to see how it goes down. And I will be back next week with another one for you guys. And like always, guys, if this is your first time, click that subscribe button. Help me out. Get me out there. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's get the Filthy Report out there. Let's get the Fight Talk out there. I would love to be producing way more content for you guys and getting it out there to you guys every week. And like always, guys, I love you. Keep it real. Keep it live. Till next time, guys. Peace.